right.
Can you see on your end how many people have joined, if any?
In the top left, do you see where it says live and then there's that little eye?
Yeah, you're the only one that can see the eye, I think. I can't see the line.
Looks like 1 is with us right now. 2.
Yeah. Maybe I can pick it up on my phone.
Yeah, you might be able to. Just turn your volume down on your phone or else we'll get like a weird noise thing. Hey, if you're just tuning in, we're going to get started in just a few minutes when a few folks hop on.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can see it on my phone now. That's good.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. So just hang in there if you're with us. If you have any questions related to the CARES Act, Ray's going to answer a lot of those as he goes on, but feel free to go ahead and drop those in the comments. When we get to the end of the discussion, we will be answering those. So go ahead and send us some comments and questions you may have, and then we'll get to those at the end. But we'll get started in just a couple minutes. I'm going to give this a few shares, and so other folks can see it on Facebook. Hi, Angela.
Okay, good. Fantastic. I went to Swaney Swift's yesterday and had me a good sandwich there. So I have to come by the office about once a week up to the Sumner County Admin Building just to check on various things. So I always try to eat somewhere there in Gallatin. So
we appreciate that. And I know our business
Travis would appreciate your business. So.
All right, we're going to get started in just a couple minutes. I want to start right on time, but I wanted to get us on here earlier to make sure that this new stream software that we're using worked. And it looks like it is. We can see each other and the comments are starting to come in. So we appreciate that. I give it a couple more shares.
Now I've told Dr. Faulkner and he promises he's going to get me I've got to get right back here. I've got to get a Vol State sticker. So anyway, if Dr. Faulkner's on, he's going to get me one of those.
We need to get you a Welch sticker too.
Well, that's true. That's true. Need one of those. Yeah.
Be careful. You're going to have a wall covered in stickers.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right. We're going to give it one more share and then we're going to get started.
Oh, thank you, Miss Allison, of course. So
thanks for tuning in, everybody.
And you said this is the first, so I guess you're going to talk about being the first S.E.E Show. So
yes. All right. Welcome. Good morning. I'm Kim Baker. I'm with the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce, and we are streaming live from different locations this morning. We are excited to bring you our very first S.E.E Show, S.E.E. As you may or may not know, the Chamber exists to support, educate, and engage our business community and the Gallatin community as a whole. So we're excited to bring you this. We don't know how long we'll do this, but we definitely will do this until we no longer need to. And so that might be forever, or that might be for a few weeks or months. So hi, Mandy. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. I have with me today our very first S.E.E Show guest, and that's Ray Render. He is the district rep for Congressman John Rose, and he's going to talk specifically about the CARES Act. We're going to share his screen in a little bit and go over some talking points, what you need to know. And we would be happy for you to ask us some questions. Drop those in the comments, and at the end, we will do our best to answer those. And if we can't answer them together, we will send you to somebody that can. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Ray and let him get going.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks. Looks like we've got about 33 folks. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us. I know we're aiming about 30 minutes on this. We want to value your time. So just real quickly, while we've got some folks still joining us, a lot of things going on in the federal government, as you can imagine. Kim was nice enough at the end of this. She's got my email scrolling around the bottom there. So if there's something you don't want to ask in the chat, that's fine. Feel free to shoot me an email. We'll discuss it. Once again, as she said, if we don't know the answer, we'll certainly try to get you to the right person that can answer your question for you. But while we're waiting, real quick, just want to remind everybody that I know all of the coronavirus and COVID-19 that's going around and taking up a lot of the news, but don't forget the 2020 census. So you participating in the census is very important. I realize we're going live. You could be streaming this from any county, any city, but trust me, those counties and the state of Tennessee, we need to know your census count. So please take just 3 minutes to do that online. If you want to call in, you can do that. If English is a second language to somebody that you know, you can encourage them to call in. I believe the operators, we have 56 different languages that the operators can handle. So please take the time to fill out the census. A lot of people working from home as we are. So take a few minutes to do that. Just wanted to throw that out there since it's kind of touches the federal government just a little bit. As you can imagine, over the past few days in our office, we're getting a lot of calls about the individual economic impact checks. So some people are calling these stimulus checks. Their economic impact is the correct term for it. But just want to let you know that we're hearing probably mid to late April before those will start going out. If you interact with the IRS in a ACH manner, direct deposit, those checks will come to you direct deposit. So just the quick rules on that. If you as an individual make $75,000 or less, you'll receive a $1,200 check. If you're married or filing jointly, if you make less than $150,000, that would be a $2,400 check. So those are the two amounts. That amount will diminish down to $99,000 for the individual, $198,000 for filing jointly. So keep that in mind. If you make above those thresholds, you won't be receiving any type of check. So I can imagine that's some folks might call asking, okay, where's my check? I never saw it. But anyway, look at your numbers there, your threshold. Then for any dependents that you have, these are children dependents, 16 years less, you'll get an additional $500 per child. So anyway, that's kind of the global rules on that. As we're going through the day to day, I will refer to a few websites. So a lot of that information can be found on the irs.gov website. So the individual economic impact checks, that information can be found at irs.gov. So we'll be at the IRS site here in just a minute. I might show you that. But so that'll answer a lot of questions as far as, once again, we're getting a lot of calls about that, as you can imagine. The big news that was announced yesterday, if you know seniors, or if you are a senior, maybe you're drawing Social Security income or some disability of some form from SSI. When this first came out, you would have had to have filled out some type of a tax form. You would have had to have done that in the past couple of years. However, they waived that. So that's huge, especially for our seniors. They were probably going to be the ones that would be impacted by the tax, having to fill out all their tax forms and do that. Even though they were going to try to create a simple form, they would still have had to take time to have done that and submitted that in order to get the economic impact check. So the Secretary, Mnuchin, he thankfully wiped that out yesterday. So if you know any seniors, we're getting some calls on that too. If you know any seniors especially, I think they were the ones that just because of the level of Social Security or other forms of income, it was below the threshold and they simply were not filing tax returns each year. So anyway, we want to assure them they will be getting the economic impact checks, even though they did not file a tax return in the past few years. So help get the word out on that too. That's been a lot of calls. A few things going on, or I guess what we want to talk about today is it's the Payback Protection Program loans. So I will, if I can, Kim, I think I'm going to jump over here to the Department of Treasury website. So folks, if you want to follow along, I am going to show it on the screen, but we'll be at the Department of Treasury website. And I'm going to attempt to share my screen here, and hopefully that's going to All right, I'm sharing, I believe. So Kim, if you can pick that up on your side. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you to, when you get the chance, please go to the Department of Treasury website. There's a lot of information on here. You can see in the red bar right at the top, it's kind of just front and center. So it says for small businesses seeking direct relief, click here. So that's what you want to do. I've clicked on that red bar, and what's happened just on this is the very next page that popped up. So there's several different PDF files here that you might want to look at. Probably the ones you're going to be most interested in if you're going to borrow money. I'm hovering over one that says if you're a borrower, and I'm going to open that one in a minute. But right below that is the application form. So you don't have to make a trip to the bank or anywhere to get this application form. It's right here online. So I would encourage you to go to the Treasury website, and there's the application form. I'm going to open up the borrower information here, and I'll see if I can make that a little larger on my screen so it's larger on your screen. So there's a lot of information here. I'm not going to go through all of them. Just real quick, I do want to say some of the highlights because this is what people would be most interested in. So $350 billion has been allocated for this program, $350 billion. So there is a limit to it. I'm not saying at some point in time that congressional act or presidential executive order could go back and add money to this. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying as the bill stands right now that was passed, there's $349 billion in this program. And so I think the biggest thing that's really of value to this, it's a forgivable loan to small businesses. So for an 8-week period after the loan is made, it's going to cover your payroll cost, your mortgage or rent, utility cost. But here's the caveat to it. You've got to maintain your employee and compensation levels. So we'll get into a little more detail. The loans can be deferred 6 months. So it's almost, I know I'm oversimplifying, but you're almost getting free money, for eight weeks of free money anyway, and then you don't have to pay it back until 6 months from now. So, most folks would think that's a very good deal. And I really encourage you to look at it. I think it's a good deal too. So starting today, small businesses and sole proprietorships can apply for this. Okay. So that's today. Next Friday, independent contractors and self-employed individuals can apply. So a couple of different dates there you want to keep in mind, whichever bracket you fall into. So where can I apply? Any existing SBA lenders, of course, any federally insured institution like the FDIC, any of our federally insured credit unions, farm credit systems, they can participate in it. They're not required to participate in the program. So I have had a couple of calls this morning about people that have reached out to some of their local lending institutions, and they're taking care of their customers first. So, I understand that. I suppose they're gonna take care of their existing customers before they're going to take care of somebody brand new. So I would recommend you calling whoever you bank with on a daily basis, whoever your lender is now. Reach out to them first before you go to another bank or another lending institution. So who can apply? These are all businesses, including nonprofits. So I've got some calls about nonprofits are included in this. There's a lot of folks out there that maybe have not been able to get some type of a loan before. However, with this, they can. Nonprofit, veterans organizations, sole proprietors, self-employed individuals, independent contractors. If you're 500 or less employees, you can apply for this loan. So, I really I can't say enough about it. I would highly recommend it. What do I need to apply? So, obviously they'll need some information. Download the application. The application is 4 pages. I've not filled one out, so I can't say how easy or hard it is to fill out. You will have to have some information handy. Really, what you're going to have to provide along with that is payroll documentation. As you can tell by the name of this particular program, they want to keep folks employed. They want to keep them on the payroll. So you're going to have to say, where your payroll was as of February the 15th. So please have that handy. Maybe you reach out to your accountant or whoever handles your payroll processing. They would probably have that information handy for you. You don't need to look around for other forms of funding. I know a lot of time in traditional SBA loans, they ask you to look at other types of funding. there's no requirement for this. So simply, they're not going to say, "Hey, have you been, have you shopped elsewhere and before you've come to the SBA?" That's not going to happen in this case. The program, how long is it going to last? The program is open until June the 30th. June the 30th. So by the end of June, you will have had to have made an application for this type of loan. Once again, the funding currently is capped at $349 billion for the U.S. How many loans can you take out? Only one. So, as you're looking at your estimated amount that you think you need to take out, make sure you cover yourself. You'll only be able to do this one time, so one loan. What counts as payroll costs? So really anything that touches payroll, your salaries, wages, commissions, benefits, could be, vacation, could be insurance premiums, any state and local taxes that have to do with payroll. Anything that touches payroll, you can count that as a payroll cost. Scroll on down through there's some, does it cover sick leave? How large can the loan be? The forgiven, I think that's, there's some calculation there on what can be forgiven. So really I'll say it's kind of an estimation of all of your payroll, and then it's another 25% bump up on top of that is what they're estimating for some of your other costs. So through the loan process, through the application, and talking with your lender, I think you'll be able to calculate hopefully the amount that you need to borrow. How do you request forgiveness? Your interest rate, it's fixed at 1%. That's a very low interest rate. Most folks' homes are probably, 3.5%, 4%, 5%, something like that. So this is a 1% rate. If you have to only borrow what you need for that 8-week period, you're going to be able to pay it all back. It's deferred 6 months. You don't have to pay it back immediately. So there is some deferral on that. It's due at the end of 2 years, however. So between that 6-month window and the 2-year window, you would have to pay that back at 1%. There's no prepayment penalty. However, if you choose to pay it back immediately, you can certainly go ahead and do that once you would like to do that. There's no collateral requirement. This is huge. No collateral requirement. No personal guarantee. You don't have to personal guarantee the loan. So everything is backed by the government in this case. These are just unheard of things for I have participated in the 7(a) loan program in my past. Some of these things that I'm reading here are really just almost unheard of. It makes it very easy on the borrower. So some things there you're going to have to certify. I won't necessarily read through all of these. You can download it and read it yourself. But once again, this is found. So I'm going to back up to the, just in case, I'm going to go back to the Department of Treasury homepage. Just want to show you where it's at one more time. Okay. So the Department of Treasury homepage, if you click on the red bar, right, it's kind of front and center, can't miss it. And then there's various things on that page. Once again, there's I'll go ahead and open up the application just so I won't go through it line by line. It is a 4-page application. This is hot, so you can fill it out online. You can save it, print it, whatever you want to do. So it is where you don't have to print it off and then handwrite everything. You can actually you can type it in online. So 4 pages. Looks to be the first page is going to have most of the information. The other pages are more checking boxes, maybe initializing, signing some things. So it's not a terribly hard application. Once again, I'm not filled it out, but just looking at what it takes to do it.
Hey, can I chime in? I will say that we tinkered with the applications just to play with them and just make sure, just see how hard they were. And they're not terribly difficult. I would say though, all of that stuff that Ray mentioned in that list, some of those things you want to go ahead and have that up front, like payroll records, any type of bills related to that, your P&Ls. Those are all going to be really helpful as you get in there to navigate those forms.
Correct. Yes. So the more you have handy, the easier it will be to do. So that's pretty much it on the PPP loan program. There are some other things that came out with the CARES Act. Let me tell you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to. Sorry about that. You have to look at me again. I apologize for that. Let me just go back to a Word document I created. There is, I might say this too, had a call from an employer and his business was forced to be closed due to COVID-19. So there is on the IRS webpage, and we didn't go to the IRS webpage, but there's an employee retention credit that you may be interested in. And once again, this is to help you keep people employed during these times. It pays up to 50% of your payroll cost as a credit. So, I believe the person I talked to was a dentist, and they had to shut down for some temporary period of time. He was asking what to do about employees and salary payroll. So, pointing them in this direction to say, hey, you can get 50% relief, and really immediately you just take it off of your payroll taxes. So instead of paying your payroll tax, you would reduce that amount that you paid. So that comes back to you, the owner of the business, in the form of a tax credit. So that's on the IRS page. I might just take a minute to go to the IRS webpage. Let me get there real quick, and I'll share my screen. Just if you haven't seen, a lot of information on the IRS website. So I'm trying to get that, pull it, Kim, if that comes your way. Okay. Folks, it's just irs.gov. So right here in the upper left-hand side, you can see get coronavirus tax relief. Click on that. And that's going to open up to a lot of things. There's the economic impact payments. I mentioned that earlier. You can click on that. It'll tell you everything about your individual payments. A lot of news releases down here. The one in particular is, I'm trying to find on the employee retention credit. So 2020-62, I'll pull that one up. So this is everything about, and I'm not going to take the time to read through all of this, but the employee retention credit. So it kind of talks through, the 50% rate and how you can get reimbursed. How do you get your credit? So I'm not going to take the time to read all this. There's a frequently asked questions section at the bottom. A lot of questions, a lot of Q&A on this website. As you peruse around the irs.gov website, I want to say there's 2 or 3 different sections that have about 60 or so questions in their Q&A or FAQ type section. So encourage you to go to the irs.gov website as well as the Department of Treasury website. So both of those are going to be, I think, very handy for you today. I'm coming off the share screen, going back to my Word document. So that's another important one for you to get help with your payroll if you've been shut down by the government for some reason. Just want to point out too real quick that the scammers are out there. I know I sent out some information to Kim and others last night, especially seniors. So once again, if you know seniors are I have an 83-year-old mother. So unfortunately, she thinks every time the phone rings, she needs to answer it and she needs to engage the person on the other end of the line. And a lot of seniors are that way. But the scammers are out there. So I just want to let you know that the IRS nor any federal agent is ever going to ask for your banking information, nor will they ask for credit card information over the telephone. So please don't give banking information, credit card information over the telephone. It's probably a good idea never to do that with anybody, but the IRS nor any federal government agency will ask for that. Please help get that word out to the seniors. The scammers, as you can imagine, they're calling a senior. They're saying, this is the IRS. We're trying to deposit funds into your banking account. We don't have your banking account information. You need to give that to us over the telephone so we can make the deposit of your stimulus check. And they don't know any better, or they're just not thinking, or they're anxious to get it and they think, oh, okay, this is legitimate, and it's not. So please help get that word out, and let's shut these scammers down as best we can. So Kim, that's about all I've got. I know we've got just a few more minutes here. I thought I'd leave maybe 10 or so minutes for question and answer, or if anybody would like to type, or however they can do it. So
yeah, if anybody wants to drop any questions in the comments related to the CARES Act, or maybe any other brain busters you've got for Ray today, or me, we'd be happy to answer some of those to the best of our abilities.
We've got the mayor watching. I've got to be careful. So
see if any questions come in. I'll look over here too, just in case. I would ask, and you might have mentioned this, but let me ask. So folks can apply for more than one of these, correct?
The loans, no, they can only apply for one loan. So please estimate what you think it will take to get. You could borrow more than you need for 8 weeks. You would have to pay that back. What's going to be forgiven is an 8-week calculation of your payroll, rent, utilities. So, but only one time can you participate. So yeah, please estimate the amount you think you're going to need. for the one-time loan. You can't go whoops then on June the 29th, hey, I need some more money. I'm going to do this again. Sorry, just the one time. So.
And then let's see, Megan's got a question. It says, you mentioned the age for dependents as being 16 and under. Is that correct? I was wondering about that too.
Yeah, what I read the other night is it talks like 17 and 18-year-olds would not be considered a dependent. That's a good question. I'll double check that, but I did read that somewhere the other night. It's also going to look at the last tax, the last time you filed income tax. So for some people, it might be 19. If you got going busy this year and you file them in January, they're going to have your 19 information. However, for a lot of us, myself included, I've not filed my 19 taxes yet. So they're going to look back at 2018. So the data they will be pulling from, in many cases, I think, will be 2018. So if you had a dependent or two or however many in your 18 taxes, that's what they're going to look at. So I will double. I don't know if I can find it just super quick right here in front of me on that. So Megan, I may have to get back with you on that. But I did read that the other night. It was going to be 16 and below, and I thought that was odd too. But I did read that. I'll double check that. Kim, stay on top of me. I'm gonna write myself a note right now while we're talking.
I'll put it on my list too.
Okay.
What other questions does anybody have as it pertains to the CARES Act or anything else for Ray? Anybody? And I would say that many of our banks are preparing to help you with these. It is, to my understanding, you go to your bank for the PPP, right?
Yes, correct. Go to your current lender first. I mean, you have a relationship with them. They know who you are and vice versa. If you just call a bank up out of the blue, they're not going to have a relationship with you. They're going to try to take care of their current customers first. And, I kind of understand that. Once again, the federal government's not going to step in and force a bank to participate in this program. So, yeah, whoever you're doing business with, whatever financial institution, reach out to them first and talk through it with them.
Well, and we're developing a list too of those folks that are participating. Most of our community and local banks here are, but like Ray said, they're not being forced to, so some of them will not. And then a lot of them have told me that they will probably only work with existing customers on this. And you can imagine why. They're going to be very busy helping those that they already have relationships with. So your lender and your financial institutions will be the ones to help you with this piece of that CARES Act. So, and we're putting together a list. All the banks have been very busy this week. I know they've all been on calls and they've been monitoring this and making sure they have the most up-to-date information to be able to serve their customers. So we actually have an infographic we're going to share when we get off of this that compares the PPP and it's kind of like a side-by-side look at the EIDL loans and the PPP and just the basic differences between those. And there are some differences. And again, though, your banks, your financial folks, if you have a CPA or legal counsel, they're going to be able to help you guide through some of these application processes. And those would be the people that you should really lean on during this time. With that, if nobody else has any questions, I guess we can wrap up. Ray, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you for your time today. Appreciate that. Megan, I will sit here this morning and find the answer, and I'll get that to Kim, and hopefully she can post that out there. It's a good question. So thank you.
Awesome. We'll be coming back with the S.E.E Show Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. It'll be streamed live on the Chamber's Facebook page. On Monday, the Chamber will actually be hosting a representative from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to talk again about the CARES Act, and then it'll be a voice call, so it won't be a live call. So we'll be sending out information to our membership about that. If you have any more questions related to that or anything that's going on in the business world, they'll be able to help answer some of those questions. Ray, thank you for joining us and being our first guest on the show.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.